We're all guilty of pushing ourselves hard during workouts. We hear how you've got to just go hard all the time, push, push, push. There's no rest for the wicked. There's no time to rest. That's for the weak and the meek. If you're slowing down, you're dead. But the truth is, rest is an important part of our health and wellness journey. Thanks for joining the Fit Fatherhood podcast. I'm Nathaniel. My co-host, Zach, as always, is here. On the Fit Fatherhood podcast, we dive deep into health and wellness. We talk about nutrition. We talk about exercise. Tonight, we're talking about rest. It's not just what you think. It's not just about sleep. Yes, that's an important part, but there are a few components that we're going to talk about when it comes to rest tonight. I appreciate y'all for being here. If you're here live, if you're here watching in the future, thanks for joining us. Zach, welcome back from your trip. We're talking about rest tonight. You did a certain form of rest this weekend, but that's not the rest we're talking about. Why is rest important?
Yeah, rest important. Like you said, I got back from a trip. Wasn't the most restful every night, but it was a break from the gym, and it was one very much needed. And coming off of CrossFit Open, I won't dive into that, but essentially 3 weeks of hard workouts on Thursdays after nonstop training leading up to that and through it. This weekend and even this week, I'm kind of taking a little bit of time off from heavy workouts in the gym, 1 hour long workouts, lifting, running, like all of that stuff. And I'm using this week as a short little recovery time. I haven't taken a ton of time off in a while, and time off in the way that I'm not going to the gym. And we'll talk about other ways that we can recover. But the reason I'm doing that is because we do have some important reasons to take that time to let our body recover. First off, when you're working out, you're breaking down muscles and you're kind of doing micro cracks in the bones, like very, very micro. But what that does is it breaks it down. So the recovery time will allow those things to heal properly. And not only heal properly, but strengthen, right? If you stress something, it's going to want to get stronger because it goes, oh, I'm in this constant state where I'm breaking down a little bit. If that's going to keep happening, I want to come back stronger. So muscles, bones, all that stuff, you're breaking it down, but you want to give it time to rebuilding. A lot of times you can do that with nutrition and sleep, right? Time, 24 hours, whatever, 36 hours between workouts to give it that time. But really allowing yourself to rebuild and regrow and just not constantly stretching those muscles and bones. What that also does is allows for injury prevention. If you keep breaking things down without letting it fully rebuild, you're going to eventually tear something or break something, even if it's a micro fracture in a bone or something like that, right? Eventually it's going to give out and you're going to burn out. And that can not only help hurt you physically, but mentally, either getting injured, then mentally you have to deal with it. But just getting overly tired might affect your day and you might not be as productive. And therefore you might get a little bit stressed because you're behind on things, you're not sleep well, and then it turns into a cycle like that. So that allows you to, again, recover from those and then improve performance. So if you give yourself time to rest and everything to heal back to the way it was and be a little bit stronger, when next time you go into the gym or whatever workout you're going to do, you'll be a little bit more productive. You'll perform a little bit better. You'll feel a lot better while you're doing it. So it's really important to make sure that you have that recovery. So that being said, it's not just about like, hey, this week, I'm not just sitting around all day, not doing anything, watching TV, sleeping a ton extra, maybe a little bit extra, but not a ton. Ultimately not doing anything. So when we talk about recovery, what are some kind of ways, Nathaniel, that you like to take that time to sit there and get that recovery without, not just sitting or doing nothing?
Yeah, that's a great, you kind of mentioned it too, is like the mental aspect of it as well. Like if you're just going to the gym every single day and you're kind of doing the same things, it becomes a little old. Like it becomes a little grudging. You do this kind of begrudgingly, whatever. And so taking that, switching things up, doing some of the things that I'm going to talk about here, it just gives your mind a little break from it. And then you can go back and kind of hit it hard. So, you did mention there are a few different ways that we can rest. And we do have what we call active rest. You mentioned one that's sleep, just got kind of hanging out, resting on the couch. And then we have, nutrition. Nutrition is a big part of our recovery. But as far as active rest goes, we can do very light walking or just walking in general. We can do yoga, stretching, kind of mobility things. These are little things that like we don't want to just be completely sedentary, but we're giving our body a break from like the heavy lifting or the constant running or sports and things like that. So we're going to give ourselves a little bit of time to rest and recover, and we can do that by just stretching, light stretching. I'm a big fan of the foam roller. I do that pretty every night as I'm getting ready to go to bed. It's part of my bedtime routine, is like get a little foam rolling in. I'm going to do it tonight. I had a really crazy basketball experience this morning. It was yeah, we don't need to talk about that, but I'm going to definitely foam roll to just let my body recover. It This active recovery, it allows the blood to keep flowing, which is really important for those muscle repairs. So we don't want it to just completely stop. We want to still allow the blood to flow and the muscles to kind of be a little bit stressed, right? And then sleep. Sleep is probably the most important component of rest. It's something that we should be getting, 7 to 9, depending on your age, depending on your fitness level and what you're doing throughout the day, but 7 to 9 hours a night. That's what really allows our body to go into full recovery mode, kind of like a mini hibernation. We're going to really recover our muscles and our bones that you were talking about, those little tiny little breakdowns, where give our bodies a chance to really recover. And then, nutrition. We've harped on nutrition many times, but that is a very important part to our recovery process. If you're not putting the right things in your body, even if you're doing the right rest activities, you're not giving the protein, the nutrients, the minerals for your body to actually go in there and recover. So we don't need to harp on nutrition too much. If you're really interested in diving into nutrition, come into our Facebook group, the Fit Fatherhood Facebook group. That's what that's for. So we can really kind of break things down with you and talk things through together. You can also go back and see some previous episodes of the podcast. But I alluded to the mental recovery. I actually even talked a little bit about it. Where can we kind of go from there, Zach?
Yeah, like you said, you mentioned it. Sometimes you get caught up in the routine and the consistency of it, which is great. Obviously, you want to work out consistently, but even if you enjoy what you're doing, whatever that workout is, it can get old. Just like doing anything over and over again can get old. I mean, I've been doing CrossFit for 17, 18 years. If you've watched this before, you know that. And, I love it. I love the group aspect of it. I like the pushing myself aspect of it. I like the variety of it. And there is a ton of variety, but still, after a while of doing that for so long, it does get kind of old, and not physically, but like I just kind of not necessarily even get bored. It's just kind of gets repetitive. And I guess maybe it is a little bit of boredom, but doing that for so long, eventually I want to switch things up. And I have done that in the past. That's why I started doing triathlons last year. Like it gave me something time where I could not just do CrossFit. I would stick with the lifting, but then most of the rest of the days would be swimming or biking or running. And it was so nice to get that change of pace that it gave me that mental break of kind of getting away from it and trying something new and different, still incorporating some pieces of it, but really just focusing on something else. And then I did that for a little bit, and it excited me to go back to full-time CrossFit. And even within CrossFit, like I spent time where I spent 6 or 8 weeks just Olympic weightlifting, snatch, clean and jerk, just all barbell work. I didn't do any running, I didn't do anything else. And again, that was fun. And by the end of that 8 weeks, like week 6, 7, I was ready to be done and go back to something else. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's not bad to try something different, right? Maybe you've been a runner forever and you like it and you love it, but give something else a try and give yourself just that mental break. Again, it'll mix things up for you. And I think that helps with the recovery sometimes. And that can apply really to anywhere else in your life, right? If you're sticking with a certain diet, maybe trying a different diet or a different way of eating or something like that, eating the same meals over and over again, try something new just to reinvigorate that mental state. I think sometimes you kind of stay stagnant and it's easy, but getting out of your comfort zone and trying something a little different will help repair that mental state that you're in. I think that's for me is the biggest thing that I've started to implement when it comes to recovering mentally from workouts. Again, it's not always physical. So that I don't know if you have any similar experience with doing something like that at all.
No, I mean, like, as you're talking about it a little bit, I'm thinking, I've been making some diet changes, just like really, really honing in, going a little nuts in a sense. And like, 3 days worth of salmon in a row. You're like, all right, I need a break from the salmon. And
Mm-hmm.
and I'm kind of an anomaly in the sense that I don't really mind eating the same thing over and over. And like when I have kind of a goal in my mind, I'm like, I'm just gonna eat the same thing over and over. Like it's kind of the best thing that I can do. But after a few days, you're like, there's only so many different variations of salmon that I could do. So it's like, yeah, it reinvigorates you. I just take a break a day or two, and then I can get back to it for a couple days. And like, it just the mental break, it kind of reinvigorates me to go, okay, this is why I'm doing this. But it's that burnout. You just get
Mm-hmm.
burnt out from doing the same thing over and over again. So we get it. I get it. I'm really busy. We're running a couple different businesses. You have your W-2. I've got 3 kids. You've got a kid. We've got wives. We've got other things that we want to do. It it just feels like we got to squeeze in more. We got to do more all the time. But making the time for the recovery is super important. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to do this episode. We've talked about nutrition a lot. We've talked a lot about mindset stuff and what it takes to set goals and hit your goals. We talked a lot about accountability and the value you get out of the Facebook group and the school community that we have. And even last week we broke down a specific exercise that literally you could do every day. But even in that episode, we did kind of allude to you're going to want to switch this thing up because it will get bored. You will get bored of it. So the rest aspect of things is super important. Figure out how you can kind of incorporate these with your family. Like that's why we called it Fit Fatherhood, is because we're fitting it into the fatherhood, the piece of our life that's for me, for Zach, is the most important kind of component, is being a father and being a husband. And how can we fit it all together? So, take a day, take 1 to 2 days a week and just allow your body, allow your mind to recover, to get that rest and be active. Take us home, Zach.
Yeah. And if you are struggling with any of that, whether it is getting started in exercise, figuring out what that consistent thing you can be doing is, or if you want to figure out how can I start incorporating some of this recovery stuff, right? How can I make it a little bit easier? How can I incorporate the family? We have this podcast every Tuesday night. We have the free Facebook group, which will be in the comments, the description. It's in the bottom of the little scroller. Just search it, Fit Fatherhood in Facebook. We have our school community. That's the paid community. But if you need any of those, feel free, DM us. We want to help as many people as we can. And we want to help give you at least a starting point on where to get going and some accountability to stay going.
Yeah. And remember too, every other week, I think this week, what is it going to be? The 20th, we're off. Zach is off from his every other week Zooms, but he's on a 52, or what is that, 26?
26. Yeah.
Yeah, 26-week thing where he's just breaking the fundamentals of health and wellness down. He's been talking about a lot about nutrition and working through that. So you can find that link in the Facebook group as well. That's for everybody, though. The Facebook group is for, we're focused on helping as many busy dads out as we can. The webinar, we call it the webinar that Zach does, is for pretty much anybody. We just want to be providing value and helping as many people out take control of their health and wellness as possible. So if you're watching this live, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. This podcast is just the beginning for this channel. We're going to be doing a lot of cool things in the future. If you're watching this in the future, do the same. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. And if you want to, come join the coaching call, come join our Zoom call right now. We're going to talk about more rest and how you can implement this into your day. Later, y'all.